Good morning. It's me, it's Michael, and it's Saturday morning, so it is my Saturday soundtrack. Thank you to Paul for the last few hours. You've got me for the next few hours, so whatever you're doing this morning, whether you're a member of staff that's on a weekend off, or maybe you're working this weekend, maybe you're a patient out and about across our wards, or maybe you've just logged in online. It's brilliant to have you here, and I've got a fantastic show today. It's Tramlines Weekend in Sheffield, if you're not sure what that is. It's a fantastic music concert with some brilliant acts across the whole weekend, so I'm going to play some music from them. But also, I've got a fantastic guest this morning. I've got Sheeba. Morning, Sheeba.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine.
And Sheeba is our nurse director for South Yorkshire Regional Services. We're going to find out who they are and what they do. But you've come with a fantastic stack of CDs this morning, Sheeba.
I have.
I can't wait to play some of those. We're going to put some of those on in a bit. So it's going to be a real eclectic mix. But for those of you that didn't get to Tramlines last night, here's a bit of Fatboy Slim. And then we'll get going on the rest of the show. Speak to you shortly. That was Fatboy Slim there with Praise You. Yes, all songs, or a majority of songs this morning are from Tramlines, but I've got some even better ones because Sheeba's brought a bag full of CDs. So Sheeba, tell us, South Yorkshire Regional Services. That sounds like a strange name for a team or for a care group. What's in that team?
Yes, we look after cardiology services. That includes patients who come in with heart attacks or have rhythm problems. We put in pacemakers, and we also do cardiac surgeries in the cardiac services. And we also look after renal patients, for patients with kidney problems. So that could be both offering dialysis for chronic kidney conditions and also doing transplants. And we also look after vascular patients where their blood flows are affected due to various reasons, and we try and establish the blood flow back.
That's amazing. And so is it called South Yorkshire Regional Services? We're obviously Sheffield Teaching Hospitals. Is that because you provide those services for the whole of South Yorkshire?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So if I was in Barnsley or Rotherham and I needed that cardiac care or that renal care, I'd come to Sheffield for that
yes,
service?
Yes, some of the care is provided by the district general hospitals, and if they need the tertiary level care, they come to us.
Okay. And whereabouts are you based then? Mainly at the Northern? Are there some of those services at the Hallamshire as well?
We do have some of the services where we are based at the Hallamshire, but that's a very small amount where the diagnostic cardiology services are, and we do some clinics at the Hallamshire, but most of our services are based at the Northern, mainly within the Chesterman wing.
Great. Well, I want to get into some of those individual services because they sound fascinating and clearly do some great stuff for our patients. But then nurse director. So tell us, what's the role of a nurse director? Is there just one of you in your care group in the organisation? How does it work within the structure?
Yeah. We are about 10 of us, and we are looking after the various care groups. So we are the senior nursing lead to ensure we provide high quality standard care for our patients, and also we look after budgets. We it's the senior nursing lead of that triumvirate that we have.
And I imagine covering all those three services, that must be a big nursing team. Give us a feel for kind of, I'm putting you on the spot now, so kind of roughly how many nurses, how many wards have you got within your team?
Well, I sort of responsible for nearly about 900 nurses, and we also have some AHPs within those as well. So
an
it's
AHP, that's like a physiotherapist,
yes,
allied health professional.
Allied health professionals like perfusionists. Yeah.
Okay. And so all these terms, so perfusionists, what would they do within cardiac surgery?
So the perfusionists are responsible when we are going off bypass, which is the blood, when they do the surgery, your blood is directed into a machine. Your heart stops where they do the work of the heart. So they maintain that.
And they're within your team and you're responsible for them. That's a real kind of, gosh. So really varied then. So you've got nurses that are doing renal dialysis,
Yes.
cardiac perfusionists, vascular outpatient nurses. That's a real breadth of people within your team.
Yeah.
Busy job. Do you enjoy it?
Never a dull moment.
And having had such a busy week doing all of that, you've come to talk to me, so I really, 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 really appreciate it, Sheeba. And one of the things I really want to talk about, and we'll come and talk about it after this next song, is kind of you didn't do your nursing qualifications here in Sheffield, is that right? Here in the UK?
Yeah, I trained in India.
So I really want to kind of find out about that journey. But before we do that, can you introduce this first song? This is one of your CDs and a song that you've brought. Do you want to introduce?
Yes, this is in India. The music from the pictures, movies are great. Great, really. Yeah. So more than individual singers, we celebrate the film songs a lot. And this one is one of my favorites from one of my favorite music directors, A.R. Rahman. Most of you will know from the film Slumdog Millionaire. Okay. And so it's about celebrating marriages. We do have arranged marriages in our culture. And it's about celebrating that marriage and with the folk music.
Fantastic. Well, let's have that. And what's this song called, Sheeba? Oh, don't worry. Well, you have a look at that while we play it. This is one of your favourite. Yeah. And then we'll come back and I want to hear about your education through India and coming over to
it's
the
about
UK.
Bumiyadi, yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, Sheeba. Just so... Sheeba, just tell us again. So that's obviously a fantastic song. That's from a film, is it? A particular film? What's the kind of general gist of the film?
It was celebrating love.
Ah, lovely. Okay, so, and it's been so fitting kind of playing that. So let's go back. I'd love to find out more about you, Sheeba. So you did your training 30, do you mind me saying 37 years
Yes,
ago? Yeah.
Of course. I'm really proud of my profession. So yes.
So tell us about that. So where did you do your training, Sheeba?
So I did in India in an institution called Christian Medical College, Vellore. And it's a very prestigious institution started by Ida Scudder, an American missionary. So I did my nursing there for 4 years. And I graduated there and worked in India for 5 years.
Right. And was it hard for you to get into nursing? What made you want to get into nursing?
My grandmother, she was, working not as a nurse, but as a pharmacist. So, that's what really introduced me to hospitals. Sometimes I used to go on weekends along with her. So it really, when she became ill, that was one of the standout moments for me to see the nurses in action. And as a young girl, I was scared, but also I thought that job is so fulfilling.
Amazing. So you went through the training, you did that for 4 years, and then you were working in was it a large hospital?
I worked in both. I trained in a very large institution. But when I qualified, I went, and my first job, we do nursing as well as midwifery in India. So, and I was working out in the community delivering babies.
Okay.
With not, some houses may not even have electricity, Michael. Right. And, in those days with lanterns and, sometimes you did feel like Florence.
And how did you get from there then to, was it Sheffield you came to within the UK?
Yes, after working 5 years there, I got married to my lovely husband, who I'm married now for 33 years. It was an arranged marriage. And he worked at the Ministry of Health in Oman, in the Middle East. So I applied for a job there. And I worked there for 5 years before I saw an advert for nursing in UK. Oh. And I thought, I'm quite adventurous. I thought, let me go and see how nursing is done in UK for a couple of years. And then probably we were planning to go back home. And here I am 25 years later.
So that was kind of year 2000 kind of thing then?
Yes, it was 2001.
Yeah. Right.
So delegates from Sheffield came to Dubai to do the interviews, and we were the first cohort recruited by Sheffield Teaching Hospitals. And if you remember, 25 years ago was the merger between Northern General and Hallamshire and Jessops.
I think now you've said it, obviously, I was working in Sheffield at that time. I think I kind of remember people going out and doing that. Gosh, so you saw that, you were in Oman base there, and so did you both come to Sheffield on the back of that?
Not in the initial time. I came alone. My children were very young, so I had to send them to India to my parents, and then my husband was still working there, and I had to get registration. I had to start all over again when I came here, so I had to get registered, do my adaptation and get registered again. So that took about 3 months. So and then my family joined. So I was alone here.
Gosh, and that's such a big decision then. So kind of how young were your children at that stage?
My daughter was 3, and my son was 7.
Wow! And so how do they remember? How do they look back and remember that at all? Or
they remember, my daughter and my son remember me leaving them with their grandparents. It was a shock to them, and but here in Sheffield is our home now. That's how they remember it, and they remember India as where they go and meet their relatives and spend time. For me, I feel it as home both here and in India.
And so, paint me that picture, Sheeba. So you're in Dubai. These people from Sheffield have come over. What picture did they paint of Sheffield and STH that made you go home to your lovely husband and say, I want to go there?
I think, because, as I said, I am quite courageous to leave familiar shows, and I really wanted to explore it a bit further, how nursing is done in developed countries. So that was my main drive. And I just wanted to experience this new culture, and also part of it was they were paying more than India as well. I'm being very honest. So that was another reason, but that wasn't the main reason. I wanted to develop my career, and that career development is what really drove me to go work in a developed country and see.
And did they have, I'm really fascinated, did they have like pictures of Sheffield? Did they have pictures of the trust? Do you remember any of that?
Yes, they brought the lovely pictures of Sheffield with all the greenery, with all the...
Really?
Yes, and also our very famous Royal Hallamshire building. It looked fabulous.
Really?
Yes.
I've got, have you ever seen the Full Monty film? There's a film called Full Monty Sheffield, and the start of the movie they play a kind of 1970s clip, and it's called Sheffield on the Move, and it's got different places in Sheffield. I kind of imagine them going with a bit of a sell of Sheffield. And so kind of when you arrived, you kind of got on a plane with a number of you, or were you on your own? Or?
We were about 38 of us.
Okay.
Some of us were from India, but most of us were from Philippines. And those colleagues, so most of them are still working here.
Fantastic. And you're still in touch with them and still friends?
Yes, and we celebrated our 25th year earlier this year in March, and we all went out together to one of the restaurants, and we told them why we were there, and we put up some pictures. And I'm really, really was surprised that, they didn't, charge us. They said they wanted to treat us on the day, which
that's
we didn't
just a huge
really expect.
Service.
Yes.
Yeah, all of you. And so tell me so how many years was it after you'd arrived until your family came and joined you?
Oh, but as I said, it was only 3 months.
Okay, sorry.
It was 3 months.
Okay.
But it took a few years to settle down because my husband, he was managing the whole of medical records when he was in the Middle East. Yeah. But he had to stay at home and look after the children for the first year. And finally, and he was looking for jobs. And sometimes... it is hard to get the job that you're qualified for. and it took best part of 18 months for him to find a job in Leeds. And so I used to leave my children with my childminder, and my daughter used to say, where am I taking her in the darkness? The school is not yet open. So I still have those memories. But my childminder was great. The support from STH was great. And after a couple of years, my husband got a job here in Sheffield Teaching Hospitals within the information services, and he works as a systems trainer.
It's fantastic. Well, we'll come back. I want to hear some more about, because I know on the back of your experience, you've done so much in supporting other internationally educated nurses. So we'll come back to that shortly, but let's play a request. Our fantastic volunteers have been out and about around the wards as always, and we've got this one from Tanya, who's a student occupational therapist over at the Northern General, and she's asked for some Steve Harley and Cockney Rebel, Come Up and See Me and Make Me Smile. That was Rick Astley, Never Gonna Give You Up, and that was Alison on the email is saying she's off to Tramlines today, and so could I play Rick Astley for all her friends and colleagues on A-floor, outpatients and reception. Absolutely, Alison, and thank you for messaging us. If you want to pick a song, you can do studio@sheffieldhospitalradio.co.uk or WhatsApp us 07900 339 429. You join me with Sheeba. Sheeba, you were telling us such that genuinely kind of amazing story of 25 years ago. You come into Sheffield, and obviously then you've worked in lots of different departments. Give us a flavour for some of the roles that you've done in those 25 years at Sheffield then, Sheeba.
Yep. I came and worked here in the post-anaesthetic care unit at the Royal Hallamshire Hospital. As a staff nurse, as I mentioned before, I had to start, from the beginning. And then I'm very proud to say 7 years later, I was the lead practitioner for that unit. And then I moved on from there to Leeds for about 5 years as a matron in theatres at the LGI. And then I came back as a deputy nurse director for OGN and moved on to as a deputy nurse director within South Yorkshire Regional Services, and 2 years ago became the nurse director.
Amazing. And you were saying, obviously, you've benefited as much as Sheffield has for you coming and working as an international nurse. You do so much now for supporting other nurses that have come across. Tell us a bit about that work that you've done there,
That
Sheeba.
is really, really core for me. And in 2019, just before COVID came, I was one of the nurses selected at Leeds Teaching Hospitals to go and do the interviews to bring the international nurses again, because we had such shortage of nurses here in UK. And it was so lovely to be on the other side of the table recruiting nurses for UK. And now, about 6 years later, at Sheffield, we have more than 900 nurses within Sheffield Teaching Hospitals who are internationally educated. And I have a strong commitment for them, to be there for them, and also to develop them, because most of these nurses, they don't, put themselves forward for development. And also they have come here with so much of experience and skills and knowledge. None of them are newly qualified. They come with a minimum of at least 2 to 3 years experience. And we want them to flourish here, establish their home here, and be a fantastic nurse over here. So I work very closely with our EDI team, with our recruiting team, with our nursing leadership, with our chief nurse Chris Morley and deputy chief nurse Elaine, and all my nurse director colleagues in identifying their needs, because their needs are different. Okay. So how could we develop them so that they feel that fulfillment that I have felt here in Sheffield? And I'm so proud to say Sheffield Teaching Hospitals, how supportive they are. And we recently conducted international nurse development programs through AMI, because we do identify the nurses who are ready for that development. and we give them the tools so that they feel confident to apply for those jobs.
Yeah. And 900 nurses, and that I've talked with a number of my guests about the value of a diverse workforce, and that supporting a very diverse population here in Sheffield and South Yorkshire, particularly for your services. What do you think having those 900 internationally educated nurses brings to our patients and our services here in Sheffield?
Certainly, it represents the population that we serve as well. And some of our ethnic minority patients feel, they can talk the same language as the nurses, because some of our patients do not speak English when they come here. So that's a real plus point, so that they can understand and they feel that affinity towards them. And they bring so much of experience that is elsewhere into the nursing care that we provide here as well. So it's all that celebrating that successes, celebrating that diversity. And this year, this month is the South Asian Heritage Month, where we are celebrating diversity as well. So that is again respectfully, understanding the skills that these nurses have brought here.
And I want to come and hear some more about that. We'll pick that up after the news. But kind of what networks, what support do those staff have then on a kind of day-to-day, week-by-week basis as well?
So our EDI network provides a lot of support here locally. And we also have support through the British Indian Nurses Association. It is a national organization for which I am vice chair, where we provided a lot of pastoral care. And again, this is all as voluntary. Nobody is getting paid for it. So despite our day jobs, we have that commitment that we have to develop our nurses and integrate these nurses into our society so that they reach their full potential. So we provide development opportunities through that as well.
You talk so well about it, Sheeba. I mean, you must be seen, I'm sure you don't want me to say this, but you must be seen as such a kind of a role model and a mentor to so many of these staff.
I hope so. And for me, that's a serious responsibility. As a nurse director, it's not a position, it's a role, just a role or a leadership. It's a leadership position. And I have responsibility and accountability for these nurses and for all of the other rest of the nursing teams as well. And we have to take that seriously and provide the best care that we could for our patients. And we have to understand what matters to the patients, what matters to the staff, because we talk a lot about compassionate care, but compassionate care is self-compassion as well as, compassion. When we look at it, it's the coin is same. How much you put in for your patients is the same as how much you put in for your staff as well. So it's the two sides of the same coin. So you look after your staff very well, you give them those opportunities and encourage them to be kind, respectful, compassionate. You're going to get really, excellent quality care for our patients.
Amazing. So give us, we've got another one of your fantastic CDs. Tell us a bit about this next song, Sheeba.
So as I said, I encourage, Pio to celebrate love. And this is another film song from the same film, Jillan Orakadal. It says about how love is spread in not just human beings, among birds, among animals, how we show our love to everybody. Brilliant.
Thank you. Oh, that cat at the end caught me off guard, Sheeba. Right, I can't believe our first hour's done. I've absolutely loved talking to Sheeba, but I thought I was the kind of most important, famous person you'd ever spoken to about the work that you've done supporting our international educated nurse. But I understand a couple of years ago you met someone much, much more famous in recognition of the work you've done.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
I still get goosebumps thinking about it. Our King Charles, invited, certain nurses from international background. He wanted to celebrate the nurses that came over from their countries to deliver nursing here in Britain. And so I was one of the two nurses from Sheffield Teaching Hospitals to be selected to meet the King, along with Anna, who's the matron in respiratory. So when I got the letter, I honestly thought it was spam.
And it just came out of the blue? Just
yes.
An email? Or
yes,
a letter,
as an email from the regional NHS.
From the King himself? Or?
No, they gave us the information first, that you've been selected to meet the King. And I honestly thought that was a spam.
Really?
And I wanted to, delete. I thought I might as well ring, let my chief nurse know. And he said, no, that is true, that we are selecting few nurses to represent from our trust.
And where did you meet him at?
At Buckingham Palace.
And how was that?
Unforgettable memories,
Really?
Michael. And we got the invitation from his office. Yeah. And we also were given car parking permission inside to park at the Buckingham Palace.
Really?
And I'll never forget the day when we got into the cab and we said where we were going and to Buckingham Palace. I was very nervous to drive into the palace, so I didn't take my car. I went on the train. But some of us, my colleagues came in the car, and we were gathered in the most important, the biggest room in the palace, where he receives royal dignitaries like presidents or other kings and queens. So we were given such importance as nurses from these various countries. It was such an occasion that I will never forget.
Amazing. You tell it so well and so deserved. Sheeba, I can't wait to speak to you some more in the second hour. I'm going to play some Reverend and the Makers to take us up to the news. They're on at Tramlines tomorrow. And join me in the second hour. Sheeba will tell us about some of her services and the work that we do across South Yorkshire. Hello, welcome back. It's hour 2 already. It's me, Michael. You're listening to my Saturday soundtrack here on Sheffield Hospital Radio. That was the Kaiser Chiefs because it's Tramlines weekend. So we're slipping in a few Tramlines classics, but we've got a few other songs coming up. And better than all of that is I've got Sheeba with me. Welcome back, Sheeba.
Thank you.
Are you enjoying it?
Absolutely.
You're going to do a request for us in a moment, but before we do, don't forget, if you missed that first hour of Sheeba, and she's been absolutely fantastic, you can listen again. You can go on to Facebook Reels, look for Sheffield Hospital Radio on Facebook. You can also look for their YouTube site, or we're now on Spotify, and you can listen to any of my previous conversations there on Spotify with Kirsten, our chief exec, Balbir, our performance and information director, our amazing A&E team, or some of the celebs I've had on, Kate Botley or Ellie Colton. Just check out Spotify and search Sheffield Hospital Radio. But Sheeba, you've been brilliant as a guest, but you're taking over as a presenter now. So you do. Our volunteers have been out and about around the north and getting some requests. Who's this next request for?
Oh, the next request is from Matthew, who is a patient at Northern General, and he's requested Mr. Brightside by the Killers.
Amazing. Here we go. Mr. Brightside, it's me, it's Michael. It's my Saturday soundtrack. I hope you're enjoying listening. Sheeba, you were telling us earlier 900 internationally educated nurses across Sheffield Teaching Hospital, which is great. And you're then telling us your services are quite unique in that they provide services not just for Sheffield, but across all of South Yorkshire, cardiac services, cardiothoracic, so heart and lungs, vascular, veins and renal, kidney and dialysis. So why do you think kind of having such a diverse staff group is so important for our patients across those diverse services that you provide?
Yeah. So say, for example, we talk about access, about language, how language is really important. So when we do have staff from diverse backgrounds meeting patients from diverse backgrounds, they're able to speak their same language. Language plays a really important role in understanding what we are trying to communicate. And also sometimes we do patient education in their own language so that they understand what they have to do when they go home, how they will give care to their loved ones. And as you see, it is quite natural when people speak the same language. You have that affinity and that courage to ask those curious questions that sometimes patients will hesitate to ask. And sometimes it also provides that access to the services very easily when they're not able to, say, for example, come. Like we have a huge DNAs. We do not want to waste the appointments. Patients have been waiting for a long time. So we give them in their own language how it is really important not to miss your appointments. And also if for some reason you can't come, how you can communicate that back to us. So having that language is really important. And also while they are coming for the appointments, we provide a lot of help with the interpreting services as well.
And I imagine language is such an important thing, but within our range of cultures, we have different approaches to death, to chronic disease, to how we approach kind of our family structures and things. So I presume some of the diversity then of having staff that have those different views and family structures, does that help as well? Because the diseases that you're working with, cardiovascular, renal disease, and big killers, for want of a better phrase.
Absolutely, Michael, because cardiovascular diseases is the leading cause of death and disability. And approximately 7 million people are affected in the UK. And the deaths, 26% of the deaths are related to cardiovascular disease. And that's like 480 per day, or one every 3 minutes. So that is stark data. So it is quite important how we address those, how we give access to our care. Not only the access, what is their patient's experience while they are receiving that care. And depending on those outcomes, how are we making changes to our practices? So when an incident happens, how we are looking into it, doing the after-action reviews or swarm huddles, but at the same time, what learning and how we are sharing it so that that doesn't happen again. So how are we aligning our services depending on what is needed for the patient? So how do we become more patient-centered, more, what matters to those patients?
And as a nurse director, how do you, because it's such a large range of services, how do you get that feel for what matters to your patients and what does good look like, and are you providing that? How do you as a nurse director, Sheeba, find that out?
So various ways. We do have the quest visits where we assess the quality and efficiency and safety standards that is being delivered on our wards. So, the nurse directors, the matrons, the ward leaders, every month they visit the wards unannounced, same like CQC. We follow the key lines of inquiry about whether our services are safe or responsive or effective or well-led. So we get assurance through that. We ask our patients through various surveys, our friends and family tests, and the CQC surveys as well, and on the ground level every day by being there and asking them. And sometimes we deal with those concerns that are raised then and there, so that the patients are going back satisfied after receiving their care.
Amazing. I want to come back and talk some more about your services, and I know that one of your matrons, Paul's, messaged in and picked a song, so we're going to play a song for him shortly. But before we do, I'd love to dip back into your CD collection, because it's a real privilege to play some of your songs. So Sheeba, tell us about this next song.
So this is another film song called Vetayadu Vilayadu, and again I have picked it because he's one of my favorite actors, and he's in his 70s now, and he's one of the greatest actors, and he's acted in more than 8 languages. Wow. So it is one of his songs, and I would like to play that.
And what language will this be in?
This is Tamil.
Okay.
It's a South Indian language, one of the South Indian, and one of the oldest languages of the world.
Gosh, wow. And what's this song called?
This song is called Uyirile.
I love that, Sheeba. That was amazing. So you touched on earlier about South Asian Heritage Month. So, and that's in July, or are we coming into that in August?
No, it's in July. From this year onwards, we've started to celebrate the whole month of July. It used to be between July and August, but they've changed it because it's easy to remember if it is a whole month. Yeah. So from this year onwards, we are celebrating it as the whole month of July. So this is celebration of histories, the cultures, the contributions, and the shared experiences of migration, of resilience, and the community that connects us with here in Britain. So this was started in 2020. Okay. So we call to celebrate, to commemorate, and also to educate our other communities about our culture. So it gives us the whole month of celebration. And I think Sheffield Teaching Hospitals, they celebrated it with, like food is one of the main things. Like we express our love through food. So, in our canteens, we celebrated last Thursday, we're celebrating the South Asian food. So it's about 7 countries.
Which countries would that include?
So that's about India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, and Maldives, and Sri Lanka.
Wow. And so what kind of food was in the canteen then?
It was, the curries that we, right. It's very famous here in Britain. Yeah. So they did a lot of different curries on that day, yes, and with ajita rice, yeah.
Right. And how does it help you kind of link back to your communities, and how does it help kind of our communities here link into yours?
It sort of, again, as I said, it's celebration of those cultures that we brought in, because some of, going back to the nurses, we are so busy delivering their care. Sometimes we don't have time to learn about this. So it gives us an option to talk about our cultures. So when we celebrate our, different festivities, so it gives us the opportunity to talk about it and to see why do we do it, like why do we celebrate Christmas? Why do we celebrate Diwali? And we do have an inclusive calendar within our EDI. Yeah. So we encourage people. It sort of gives you that easy communication to get to know each other. Yeah. And I'm a strong believer, when you get to know each other, everything else is much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a shame. That's the fantastic. We'll come back to that. As such a important line, Sheeba, absolutely. So let's come on. Let's play another song. I'm just kind of working out where we're at, because there's so many things I want to ask you. I'm going to play another song, and then let's come back and talk some more about particularly the services within South Yorkshire Regional Services, if that's okay. So this next song is a request. It's for Keith, and he asked for this song for his podiatrist, who's Jessica, and this is Tiger Feet. Tiger Feet there for Jessica from Keith. So, Sheeba, I'd love to hear a bit more about South Yorkshire Regional Services. So cardiac, vascular, renal, a real mix there of some services that are kind of, when people have heart attacks, and clearly that must be a really responsive service. Tell us a bit about the kind of the pathway that we have for heart attack patients through Sheffield.
So we do have, the service called the primary PCI, where we do intervention when patients have a certain type of heart attack, and time is of essence here. And that service is provided 24/7 through our on-call teams. And we do have to get the patient to have a meaningful recovery within 90 minutes of having that.
Right.
So it's quite, quick, but it is so effective as well. Where within a week, patients will be resuming their activity. So we deliver those services. On the other hand, we do have patients with long-term conditions like heart failure who have to be on quite a number of years of treatment. So we try to balance both.
Yeah. And then in renal, you do services then like dialysis, which is kind of longer term care. So patients, will patients be on dialysis for the remainder of their life once they get on that?
Mostly for the remainder of their lives, or where if they have, suitable for transplant, so they wait on for transplant on that as well.
And tell us a bit about transplant, sorry, because I know that's something you're very passionate about.
Yeah, so transplant, it's life-changing for somebody. And especially coming from a diverse background, ethnic minority, we have to do more to encourage, people to come forward as donors as well. So we do meet people in very sad conditions where their loved ones have passed away, and then we have to talk to them about their, whether they'll be willing to donate their loved ones' organs. And it's such an emotional time at that time, but I would say, please know what your partner or your loved one wishes are, and that really helps. And that's what our chair says, that, that helped him to make a decision, Mahmood, to make a decision for his wife when his wife passed away. Yeah. And he's an ardent supporter of transplant.
And he's messaged in, interestingly, and says one of the highlights for him absolutely is about, he wrote to the 1,000 renal transplant patients that we've treated or saved at STH to invite them to take part in the Sheffield adults team for the transplant games, which starts the week after next.
Absolutely. And it's just around the corner. And we have had the most registrations for this year, and we are working very closely with the teams and encouraging them to participate in the celebration as well. So it is from the 6th to the 9th of August. So and it's happening in Sheffield, in our own backyards.
And will you be involved, Sheeba?
I'll be involved in supporting them, and the donor run is available for, it's open to all. And I would really encourage people to also promote it and also, donate as well, because it's run by, charity as well.
Yeah. And so kind of tell me about those relationships that you have with your patients, because I suppose on one hand, kind of the dialysis, they're patients that are there for a long time. On the other, where you've got particularly some of the live donors that we do now for renal transplants. And again, kind of where does the diversity and that conversation come into all of that, do you think?
Yeah, so diverse, as I mentioned before, there is very little live donors coming from the ethnic minority. So we are working really hard in reaching out to those communities in the places where they are, like, in the mosque, for example, because most of them, due to their religious beliefs or cultural beliefs, they do not want to donate their organs. But having a person who's benefited from that, taking them along there and giving that lived experience really helps as well. So it's reaching out to those communities and saying, how important it is to encourage that living donor scheme.
Gosh. And so we've talked a bit there about cardiology and cardiothoracic. We've talked a bit there about renal. Tell us about the vascular service. Does that have a similar mix of very acute emergency type work as well as the kind of longer term work?
Yes, we do have both acute work and it's part of our SDH trauma, vascular. So anything trauma-wise they address. We do have the biggest ward in the hospital, Firth 2, where we have 40 patients on our wards, where we provide vascular services. And to talk about the vascular services is, we've done so much of improvement. They mostly our vast patients from those wards come from very underprivileged communities, and also patients who have substance misuse, and getting where blood vessels affected through that. And we also have patients due to diabetes, having circulation problems. So we do have a quite big representation from our ethnic minorities. So addressing those needs for them is quite important for us.
And how do you support your staff to do that? Because that must be really challenging but really rewarding for those staff.
Yes. So we have various, events where we celebrate, say, for example, on the vascular wards, we have a lot of patients who have had their limbs amputated. And again, because of what the surgeries that they've had, they're very prone for falls or for developing pressure ulcers. So we sort of do a lot of work with our staff to identify early detection and the support so that it doesn't become worse.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, now we talk about your staff. So Paul, one of your matrons we mentioned earlier, he's messaged in. He's asked if we can give you a high five for this morning, Sheeba. And I take it, does he work across cardiology?
He is. He's one of my cardiology matrons, and he is excellent.
And do you want to give a shout out?
And he's
to
a big football
team?
fan
as
well.
Is he? Oh. Can I ask who he supports?
Sheffield Wednesday.
Oh. Well, I was going to play your song, Paul, but no, we will play a song. But I presume it's cardiology because he's asked for, very cleverly, Roxette and Listen to Your Heart. So let's play this for him. That was Madonna with La Isla Bonita, and that was from Alison for Alicia, and a shout out for all the staff and her friends over at the Northern General. So thank you, Alison, for that. Well, I think that's been my fastest show, Sheeba. I don't know about you, but it felt like about 10 minutes ago since you walked in the studio.
Yes.
So thank you. I mean, genuinely, it's been fascinating to hear about your services and about your career and everything that you do to support international educated nurses. You come across so authentic. I imagine this is what you're like out there as a leader in SYRS.
Absolutely, Michael. I don't think I'm any different at work. And, for me, being authentic is quite important. And you bring your whole self to whoever you are. And for me, my faith is really important. I'm a Christian, and that keeps me grounded. And it has helped me through now navigating, life with lots of kindness and compassion. To sometimes my friends saying, you and your Christian faith.
And how does that help you kind of day to day in your work life, would you say? How do you rely on or go to your faith in some of those? Because it must be a challenging role that you have.
It is, especially. And like I say, everything that I do, I feel grounded because I believe I have this faith. I'm a Christian. I say, my prayers and, with my patients. I may not be overtly going and praying with them, but I do pray for them, and I think a lot of us from ethnic minorities have got strong religious beliefs, and giving us that opportunity to express our faith is really quite important. We have our chaplaincy department as well, and I have reached out to them during some of our patients' end of life, or for my staff support as well, when they have come across difficult situations where a member of colleague had passed away during COVID. We reached out to the chaplaincy, and they do a fantastic job of coming and meeting with us and helping us navigate through those difficult situations.
Yeah. And faith and values, you've touched on very much kind of patient first and the proud values that we've talked about a number of times on my show here. They come across as kind of absolutely, first and foremost for you as a leader and as a nurse.
Yes, absolutely. And for me, my guiding principle, as I mentioned before, it's not to be served unto, but to serve. And that's a Christian principle as well. And so it was our motto from my college as well.
Okay.
So I have, lead my life with that. And for me, it's being that person who shows genuine empathy, because sometimes you may be that only person that has spent a couple of minutes with that, may it be a patient or staff, trying to see where they are, trying to help them. And I always feel a strong passion for our patients' relatives, especially when after a heart attack their loved one is quickly whisked away to the labs to do the procedure, and you're left alone, sat there on your own outside coronary care. And many a times I've walked past and, sat with them or, wanted to see have a communication with them. So it's really important that we address not just the patients that we come across, but also their families. So it's the same way with the staff as well. Don't just see them as the staff who come every day to work to deliver care. Get to learn about them, their families. Most of them still have families back home. They're on their own here. So it's about extending that kindness, that compassion, and also that promoting that psychological safety where they can raise escalation. So it ties in with safety so much, when you are kind and compassionate to your staff and patients.
And Sheeba, that's lovely. And just that image you just painted for us there, the kind of the family member that's sat outside a unit whilst our fantastic clinical teams are hopefully kind of doing a life-saving, life-changing procedure. How do you find the words how would you approach that relative in the corridor there and engage and
sometimes
support them?
You don't need to talk a lot, sometimes sitting with them and explaining, what's happening with them, and that you're there. And I've learned after 25 years here in Britain, a cup of tea really helps. So making even a cup of tea and being with them
Active
and
kindness.
understand and really explaining what the next steps are and what is happening and how they will be communicated to them, and being there for them and finding out if they need anything.
And you touched on as well there around getting to know people and their families. You've referred to your family a number of times today. So tell us a bit about, and this next song we're going to play, I think you want to play for your husband. So tell us a bit about your family and your faith and how those two have intertwined.
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, I come from India, and we have arranged marriages there, and my children still can't believe how we could get married without seeing each other or knowing each other. So they're still, are amazed. And I'm happy to say I'm happily married with my husband for 33 years. And I only saw him just a week before my wedding. I saw him just in a picture that my father-in-law brought, and how the families, arrange these marriages. They go through a lot of things, like about the person, about their job, and about their character, and a lot of inquiries happen in the background. It's not like blindly you get married to somebody. So, and you do have people sometimes, mix it or get confused with forced marriages. Yeah. Forced marriages are, just say no. The arranged marriages are quite different. But saying that, my my children, when they are growing up here, they're growing in this culture. And we have prepared ourselves, my husband and I. And I am pleased to say we practice diversity. My daughter, she's a trainee solicitor in London, and she's engaged to Daniel, who is a doctor, and he is of Egyptian descent. And my son, who lives here in Sheffield, he works in the Children's Hospital, and he is, his partner is British. So we're embracing the culture that we are living here as well. And that's what we have to do to integrate into the society and see beyond those borders, see for the people who they are. And when you do that within your own family, that translates to the place where you work and to the patients that you give care to as well.
Amazing. Sheeba, you've just been beautiful kind of this morning. It's been lovely. Thank you. I think this final song you want to dedicate to your husband.
Yes, I just wanted to dedicate this to my lovely husband. And so this is about how they love each other from the day they set eyes on each other.
That really is all we've got time for this week. Thank you again, Sheeba, Nurse Director, South Yorkshire Regional Services. Next week, I've got Ruth Brown, Chief Exec at the Children's, on with me. Have a fantastic week. Keep on listening. See you next week.